50 or 60 times, it's just like, it's just boring to me, and I just don't like it, and it just started not feeling right with me. Hey everyone, my name is Kirsten. Welcome to my channel. I am a multidimensional human being, and one of my missions in life is to help people think differently, to expand who they are, and better understand the world around them. So in this video today, I'm going to talk about, because I have been an expat, I don't love that word, but I use it just because it's very well known, but I've been living abroad for 5 years now, and one of the great aspects of living abroad is getting to meet new people. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the number one question that I hate being asked, and I try not to ask other people, and what other questions that you can ask instead of this question to better connect with people and to better start a conversation that it's more profound, that's more intentional, that it's going to help you connect to people better, especially if you're meeting them for the first time. So if you're wondering how to better connect to people, whether you're an expat yourself or just someone who wants to have better conversations with people, then keep watching and let's get into it. Okay, so let me first, as I mentioned before, this is a question that I just really don't like being asked or asking other people. However, there is nothing wrong with this question. And if you ask this question, it's okay. It's totally fine. I get why people ask this question. It is a very common question, and it can start genuine conversations. However, in my personal experience, and again, all of my videos I talk about mostly my personal experience. So if you have a personal experience and it's different, that's great. Good for you. Share in the comments below. However, in my personal experience, when I'm asked this question, it kind of just starts this kind of repetitive conversation, and it doesn't, like, I don't really get to know a person, and I also, when I'm asked this question, I don't really get to show the person who I am. And I think that sometimes this question can lead to people thinking about stereotypes, as I think our brains naturally categorize things. So if you see something, for example, that has 4 wheels and an engine, you're automatically going to put it into a category of a car. If you see something that's barking and has 4 legs and it has a tail, that's a dog. So our brain naturally categorizes things based on our previous information. So if you have previous information about, say, a country or a culture or a group of people, you're going to automatically categorize what you know about someone and put them in a certain category based on what you know, based on previous experiences or knowledge. Nothing wrong with that. However, again, mission in life is to help people think differently. So I have devised some questions, and I also will share an activity or game that I do when I meet people for the first time to just kind of help people to connect differently and kind of expand who we are and get people to share more about themselves than answering a typical question. So the question that I avoid asking or being asked is, where are you from? And I know this is, again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with asking or answering this question. It is a very common question, and I do answer it sometimes depending on the situation, just because it's easier depending on who I'm with. But when I'm asked this question, earrings fall out. Okay, so again, where are you from is just a question that I don't really like being asked, and I'll talk about why in just a second. So when I am asked this question, sometimes I answer it just very normally, but sometimes what I'd like to do is I like to have people guess where I'm from. So I'll give them certain clues, like I'm from a country really far away, because currently living in Spain. I live in a state that is on the coast. This place is very well known. It's the third largest, is it the third? I think it's the third largest state in the United States. So I like to kind of have people guess where I'm from because it's more fun for me personally. Typically for the other persons, again, it's not just because I introduce this game, no one has to play this game with me. If they don't want to guess, they don't have to guess. But it's a way for me to engage with people in a different way. And in my experience, it just has sparked more conversations, and it helps me kind of break down those barriers that you have when you kind of first meet someone and you feel a little awkward. So that's one thing. If you want to try doing that, I encourage you to do that. But if you don't feel comfortable kind of starting a new game with someone that you just met, here are some questions that you can ask instead to spark a more deeper conversation. So this question is really simple, and I think it is a little bit more engaging. And the question is, tell me something about your home country or your hometown or your home city or whatever you want to know about. So when you say the phrase like tell me something, or it kind of invites that person to think a little bit more and tell you maybe an aspect about their country that maybe you didn't know. And usually when people answer this question, in my experience, they'll say like, oh, I'm from Croatia, or I'm from Japan, and da 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 da. But they'll tell me something really interesting about their country. A couple of weeks ago or a month ago, I can't remember exactly when, I met someone from Serbia who I've never met anyone from Serbia before, and it was really fascinating. And I asked her a similar question to kind of tell me something interesting about her country, or tell me something that she loves about her country. And she just like lit up. She told me about the landscape and the greenery of Serbia, and just how the people are so inviting and welcoming. And it was such a beautiful conversation, and I don't think I would have gotten that if I simply just asked her where is she from. And I also learned about like the alphabet, the Serbian alphabet. It was so cool. So that is one of my ways to kind of start a conversation and get to know someone on a deeper level. Another fun question is, what is something your country is known for, or what is something your city is known for? I think that can be really fun because almost every city, sometimes no, some people live in very simple towns and cities and countries, but sometimes people, like for example, the city that I live in now, even though I'm not from here, but the city that I live in now in Spain is known for olive oil, and we're like one of the largest, or if the largest, producers of olive oil in Spain. So that's kind of a fun fact. I always like to share in the South Bay, where I grew up in Southern California, we have something called the Grunion Run, which is pretty much a time of year when these fish called grunions they'll come to the shore to mate, which now that I kind of think about it, it's a little rude, but it's all humane, and there's limitations, and you're not allowed to collect a large amount of these fish. But pretty much when the fish come to the shore, you take them and you collect them and you put them in a bucket. The bucket is filled with water, so you're not killing the fish. And then it's a grunion run. You kind of see who can collect the most. So also I love saying, about Southern California. It's the place where you can go surfing, you can go snowboarding, and you can go skating. People say all on the same day, but I say like all on the same weekend because there's traffic. So, and it would be hard to do all those things in one day, but it's possible. So I love saying, things that Southern California is a great place where you can not only get a ton of diverse different foods, but you can also explore in so many different ways. So that is a question that I love asking people. Another question, and there's kind of various versions of the question. A very common question is like, what are the typical foods of your country or region? I also like to add on to that and say, what are the famous foods from your country or town or city? Because kind of typical and famous, I think, can sound different. Like typical might just be like everyday ordinary food. Famous might be something that is only cooked on special occasions or certain times of the year. So I always love talking about food, and most of my conversations definitely have started a lot of conversations talking about food, because I think that's like the one thing almost everyone can talk about, and everyone has their opinions to share, and I think it's so fascinating. So okay, so now I encourage you to take those questions, and also I'll have more additional questions in the description, and go out there into the world, whether you're traveling, whether you're just going to a new event, and ask those people those questions and start connecting to people in a different way. I think, there's so much that is happening inside of us. There's so many experiences that all of us carry. And I feel that sometimes our conversations can be limiting and mundane and kind of stayed on this one straight path because we're afraid to get too personal, or we're afraid to connect in a different way than what we're used to. But we need human connection. We thrive on human connection. And people are just so fascinating. You are so fascinating as a person, and the world, I think, is a better place when people are their most authentic self, when they feel like they can share not just one part of who they are, but multiple parts of who they are with the world around them and the people around them. So let me know which question you liked and which question you're going to try out, and comment below your experiences on the conversations that you're having with these people with new people as you're trying out these questions. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button for more videos like this.